He takes the timeout. They're out of timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul.
I'm Mark Titus. He's Tate Frazier. Producer Kyle sitting over there. We're One Shining Podcast. We are taping this on Friday, December 1st. It is currently 1:52 p.m. here in Los Angeles. So that would make it, what, 4:52, I want to say?
You did the math, yes.
Yeah.
3 hours.
Pitt and Duquesne are playing right after we get done taping this. So if you're wondering why we're not talking about that game, it's because
We're saving that for Monday's pod.
we're going to save it for Monday's pod. That was the game that I promised when I was campaigning for the Duquesne job. I made a handful of promises. You remember this, Tate. Number one was we would beat the hell out of Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
Number two
Crosstown rival.
Number two is we would make the Final Four. And if I didn't do those two things, I would resign. And so we'll see how Dan brought.
What's the name? You know, like every great rivalry has a name. Like, you know, Xavier Cincinnati is the Crosstown Shootout. Like, is there a name for Pitt Duquesne? Just like the dumpster fire bowl or something? Like, it's the worst place.
I'm not really sure. I'm not really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll figure it out. If you're a Duquesne fan or a Pitt fan, please let us know what the name of that rivalry is.
The funny thing is, I think Pitt fans are cheering for Duquesne. I think like everybody's cheering for Duquesne to win because I don't think Pitt fans like Stallings anymore. So yeah,
I love Stall.
And by the way, is it really a rivalry or are they just in the same town? I don't know. There's just a lot of things. But yeah, that game's going on today. Also, I should say, Tate, I want to apologize to Michael Porter Jr., who we have been ragging on for faking his back injury. And what I can only assume is some act of God, some sort of karma coming back to me. I have the worst back spasms I've ever had in my life.
So your back is not back.
My back is not back. It started like literally right after we got done taping. We were right after we were saying Michael Porter Jr. is faking his back injury and he didn't actually get surgery. And by the way, we were joking. So, or were we joking? I don't know.
We don't know.
I was joking.
Who's to say?
Whoever gave me these back spasms, I was joking because I leave, I go home, I go to sleep, I wake up the next morning.
We know it was some Porter. I don't know if there was a lot of them that could come over here and make it happen.
My back has been killing me.
Just apologize.
Dude.
Just admit your fault.
My back is killing me.
I take nothing back. I feel great.
You haven't been.
I feel awesome.
You haven't been bit yet, but yeah, I might need that back series that Michael Porter got, where he was like up running around doing jumping jacks an hour after he got done with it. Because
do you need to go to Neiman Marcus too? Do you need to go buy maybe some consumer therapy? Or
this
something?
Is brutal. But let's get to the news of the week.
Yes. Guess what happened? The ACC-Big Ten Challenge happened, and the ACC dominates once again. Kyle, play it.
This is ACC basketball with Clemson, Duke, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, North Carolina State, Virginia, and Wake Forest.
So the ACC destroys the Big Ten. The Big Ten, first of all, I'm not even surprised. I felt like the Big Ten was garbage last year, and this year...
I don't like to boast. I'm going to jump in right now. I don't like to boast a lot on this show, and being a national champion, it's hard not to if you're a North Carolina fan. But the ACC Big Ten Challenge, I was hoping for something more, Titus. I was hoping for a challenge.
Yeah.
And it has not been a challenge very often in this whole thing. 2009, I think. I'm not sure, but I think it was 2009 was the first year the Big Ten ever won it.
And now they won like 5-6 in a row. Yeah, go ahead.
No one remembers those. Those were the down years of college basketball, the downtrodden years. And now we're back. The ACC is back. Michigan State was the redeeming thing that happened last night when they beat Notre Dame by 18. Yeah. But other than that, I mean...
Michigan State beats Notre Dame by a ton, which we said it on the last pod. Notre Dame got the Maui bump. There's no disrespect to Notre Dame. They have a very good team. We love Notre Dame. They have obvious flaws. They're undersized. Mm-hmm. Michigan State is not undersized. Notre Dame has if Mike Bray could get away with it, he would play 3.5 players, I want to say. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's the only guys he trusts. So I don't know. Those were the two games that stuck out for the Big Ten. I think we won 2 more. I don't even really. I say we because if you're new to the podcast, I'm an Indiana. I grew up an Indiana fan. Went to Ohio State. Tate's a North Carolina guy. Didn't even realize there were other conferences in the country until he turned 21.
This is just what we watched.
Yeah. So I'm a Big Ten guy. Tate's an ACC guy. But this wasn't. I weirdly am not like that embarrassed. I almost like welcome it. Like I want the Big Ten to hit rock bottom, so like reform can happen. I'll tell you what the problem is, Tate. We're not cheating enough in the Big Ten. We talked about this when the FBI scandal hit.
Yeah,
there are a lot of good guys in the coaching Big Ten teams. A lot. We need more bad guys, less good guys. That's my stance.
I just want to say this about the conference pride. This is all a joke. Like, there's no one that I've ever met in the ACC or the Big Ten that has ever been like. Maybe it's about the network or something that they would brag about.
It's a joke. It started as a joke for me. It's only. I'm very hypocritical about this. I got called out on this because I wrote in my power rankings column today. Someone called me out that I'm always the person that's like making fun of the SEC for celebrating Alabama winning a national title.
And you celebrated Michigan State.
And I very much need Michigan State to win a national championship. But it's not the way I'm going to justify the mental gymnastics I'm going to do on this, Tate, is that it's been 17 years. This will be 18 years that the Big Ten has not won a national title because Maryland does not count. Maryland won it when they were in the ACC in 2002.
People forget.
So 2000 is the last time the Big Ten has won a national championship. We've come very, very close. We've had 5 programs get second, lose in the title game. It's not that I just want to get the drought over with. And then, like, if Michigan State wins it this year, I will be ecstatic. It will be a big win for the conference. And then if Michigan State wins it next year, I won't give a shit. You have my word. So I am hypocritical. I will acknowledge that. But I don't know. Like, you don't know what it's like to have your conference be terrible.
No,
to grow
I
up,
don't.
You don't know what it's like.
That's the best part about the ACC.
You don't know what it's like to grow up thinking like this is the pinnacle of basketball. This is it. Like
watching Wisconsin, I'm like, this is the top of basketball.
I was raised to believe that Indiana-Purdue was like the greatest game every year, and then like Indiana-Kentucky was like the greatest game ever. I remember when I first started like covering college basketball for a living, and I was writing about Kentucky. I think it was like the 2012 team, and I wrote something about how Indiana knocked off Kentucky, and like Kentucky, I said something like Kentucky lost to their biggest rival or something, and I got grilled by like Kentucky.
Every Louisville
like,
fan
you
in the world?
asshole,
Yeah.
We're Louisville, and I was like, are you? Because like when I grew up, it was always Indiana, Kentucky, and that was because like Kentucky didn't play Louisville for a long time. So anyway, like that was my frame of reference, and then you go out into the world, Tate, and come to find out the world you thought you knew, the Big Ten is terrible. We're very bad at basketball.
I had this weird epiphany too. Like I grew up and there was this big rivalry game between Duke and North Carolina, and I'm like, that can't be the most nationally prominent rivalry in the whole world. And then it turned out it was.
And it's not. We got Cincinnati Xavier to talk about here coming up. That's
a crosstown shootout. That's a real rivalry.
So let's go through the individual games.
Yeah.
ACC Big Ten Challenge. We don't care about all of them. You don't care about all of them. Listening.
And you only watch 2 or 3 of them at most.
Yeah,
we know.
Yeah.
We're watching. We're like Santa Claus. It's December, by the way. Congrats. Glad we made it to another December.
So we made the list of the games we cared about. Georgia Tech beats Northwestern 52-51.
Yep.
Was that at Georgia Tech or Northwestern?
Yes, at Georgia Tech. Yep.
So Chris Collins, very good guy. Might be good guy of the year at this point. It's
at
like
least of 2017.
It's like him and Sean Miller, but Sean Miller's was like a snap. We don't know if it was like a snap of the finger, just a 3-day thing, or like Chris Collins. This is just being sustained. The slide of Northwestern.
And his team looks sort of. They look like they're looking for him for guidance, and he doesn't have the answers.
And so what does he do, Tate? He does have the answer. What does he do?
Takes away the ends.
He digs into the Mike Krzyzewski bag and says, "You have to earn the right to get the D on your chest." Except this time it's the Northwestern N, and you know, as we know, these kids, like every kid in the country, grows up wanting to wear that.
If
N
I'm
on the
Law,
chest,
if I'm McIntosh, I'm like, look, I didn't have to earn anything. Like we've gone to one NCAA tournament. What are you talking
We've
about?
already earned the N.
Yeah, like literally just the fact that I agreed to play basketball here is enough for me to earn this N. What do you like? What does that mean?
I am the first person to have multiple scholarship offers and come to Northwestern. So I just
Go tell John Schurter to earn that N. Don't tell me to earn that N.
So Chris Collins is there's trouble in paradise. We not to brag, we predicted it on this show.
Yes.
We predicted Northwestern.
And I will say, I was a little spiteful with my prediction of this,
Yeah.
but I did not like the media tour that Chris Collins had this offseason, where he basically, I think he tore his rotator cuff from like actually patting himself on the back too much. And now it's all coming back to haunt him. And Josh Pastner, we should say, on the other side, great for you, Josh.
You know what's really strange is that I don't see as many Northwestern media people
where are they
tweeting
at?
about the basketball season this year. It's weird.
Well, they're not talking about college basketball.
It's weird.
They're not
It
invested in it
feels like
this
they
year.
don't care quite as. It's weird. That's weird, Tate. It's interesting.
They should do a
no, like I seriously, Tate does like his I hate Duke and everything affiliated shtick. That's why he hated Northwestern.
It's
But
not a shtick.
I honestly thought
real
like
life.
Northwestern, like part of what made them so good last year, and the reason they always pulled off upsets in the Big Ten back
Yes.
when Bill Carmody was coaching the team, and they would run the Princeton offense, because you look at the team and it's Northwestern, and you always see the stats where it's like, no matter what team it was, if you're Michigan and Northwestern was coming in to play you, like they would show the stat like Michigan has won 68 of the last 69 meetings, and they never lose at home, and like all that. So the Michigan players like, yeah, we'll kick their ass. And then finally Northwestern had like a semi-competent team last year, and they just surprised a lot. And this year you don't get that luxury. Like that's a very cliche thing to say, is that there's a difference between being the hunter and the hunted, but there's also some truth to that. And this year, no one's taking Northwestern lightly.
And let's be honest, if you went back to Georgia Tech, 4 years ago, and you went up to them and you were like, hey, if you went up to Derek Favors, right? Let's go to like mid-2000. You go to Derek Favors his first year and you're playing Northwestern at home. He's probably like, I don't care. No one's going to watch this game, like whatever. But last night, not last night, but when they played Georgia Tech, it's like, oh, Northwestern, they made the tournament last year. We want to make the tournament. Josh Okogie's like, I want to hit shots, and let's go ahead and get a win.
How did Lammers do? I didn't actually see the game.
He played all right.
Was he all right?
Yeah.
I got to keep an eye on him.
Love Lammers.
Love the other big games. So this was one of the two big games that the Big Ten pulled off was Purdue beating Louisville. The thing that stood out to me about this was Purdue was 5 for 23 from the three-point line. Purdue is built. The trouble they had in the Bahamas is they weren't hitting threes, and this is the fear I have with a lot of teams. Is I'm obviously a big three-point shooting fan. I love threes.
Yes.
That's my game. That's all I can do. So I love watching teams that rain threes. But then when teams go cold, it becomes very problematic, and that's what I was worried about with Purdue. So to see them beat a ranked team by going 5 for 23 from the three-point line, that's a good sign. I'm happy about that.
And we should say that we had brought up, I think it was Monday, right? We brought up that Louisville had been undefeated. They had been ranked. No one had talked about them. They basically been blackballed by the media. They get this big game in Purdue. Mackey Arena, I've never been there. I know that you say
Mackey Arena,
it was rocking.
I'm going to say this.
It was rocking.
I'm going to be 100% serious. Mackey Arena is my favorite arena in college basketball.
It looked like a lot of fun.
There are a lot of stipulations, so stick with me. When I say, like, if I could get season tickets to any one arena, and I don't like Purdue. I hated Purdue growing up. My mom played at Purdue, so like I love my mom. She's, by the way, I'm going to brag on her. She's a Purdue like Hall of Fame legend. She's got a picture at Mackey Arena and all that sort of thing. But I never really liked Purdue growing up. But as I've gotten older and I've kind of like stepped out into the world again, I went back to Mackey Arena. That place is insane. Like it's built. It's very accessible. So like what makes arenas in college basketball cool is that a lot of them are really old. Like Assembly Hall at Indiana, which we're going to talk about that atmosphere in a second, is old as shit, and there's like 5 good seats in there, and the bathrooms are terrible. I haven't been there since it's been renovated, but like it's the worst facility in the world, but it gets loud as hell, and that's what makes it a great arena. Mackey has like the loud environment, but it's also like easy to get into, and the bathrooms are nice. And does that make any sense to you that like
that you like to make your ticket choices based on the bathrooms?
No, I'm saying it strikes the balance between like it's actually a fun fan experience where you're not like packed in like sardines, and like like in Assembly Hall they have like the upper deck like hangs over the lower deck where if you're tucked up underneath you can't see. It's like claustrophobic. And Mackey is like it's really comfortable. It feels like an NBA arena, but it's actually a college arena, and it has a college arena atmosphere. That I'm being serious, Tate. It's my favorite arena.
I'm happy for it. I was just telling you it was rocking, and I want to go.
Yeah, and you don't have the wine and cheese crowd like you have in North Carolina, where everyone's wearing their freaking light blue button-ups and tucking them in their khakis, and like every single guy in North Carolina, every single North Carolina guy has the hair swooped over to the side. You got the little Tar Heel
Maui gym
logo.
glasses. I don't know if it's because they love the Maui Invitational so much, or they just love the glasses.
You got them like hanging on the neck.
Yeah,
like
the
you
croquis.
take them off.
Yep, exactly.
Then you put the little Tar Heel logo like on the pocket of
it's not
the
a polo.
button-up.
It looks like a polo, but it's actually a Tar Heel foot. Yes.
And then you get your initials put on your little cufflinks. And then you tuck them into your khakis. And
you're a lawyer, and you have a great family, and you love living in North Carolina.
Every North Carolina fan.
Come on.
Every North Carolina
it's not a bad life.
Yeah, Purdue, good win. Again, Louisville. It's perfect timing that we were just talking about how no one cares about Louisville this year because of the FBI thing, and then now they lose to Purdue, and they're probably going to be unranked next week, and no one's going to care about them. But I still think they're a pretty good team.
They're a really good team, and they're going to sneak up on some people in the ACC. But I just think it's crazy that even this Purdue-Louisville game, like, we're talking about it, but I have not heard no one's like brought it up, but like Jay Williams or Seth Greenberg, one of those people has not been like, but let me tell you about Purdue and Louisville.
Yeah.
Like they just
Purdue's an interesting spot, by the way, because their last 2 wins have been Arizona and Louisville.
Yes.
Like those are good wins against good teams, but the 2 games before that they didn't look so good.
And if you believed in preseason rankings, like Louisville and Arizona was pretty much consistently number 2. Louisville was a top 5 team until the FBI stuff happened.
Yeah.
So take it from that vantage point, even though I don't believe in any of those preseason rankings, like, Purdue beat 2 quality programs.
Arizona's still very good, and Arizona will be very good, and that'll be a great win for Purdue later. But it's right now we're trying to figure out how good. Are we sure Purdue's good? Is what we would say. So the game that I think most people probably, I don't know how to phrase this. Like the game that's maybe it's just me because I live in my bubble, but the game that got like the most attention, I felt like there was a moment in, was Duke at Indiana of the week.
Well, you live in your bubble. No
but
one
I felt
watched
like, get out of here. No one was watching your bullshit Carolina Michigan game.
I literally no one was watching it.
No one was watching it.
The funniest story about that was like that day that it was happening. Bill Simmons is, we're talking. He's like, what college game should I watch tonight? And I'm like, North Carolina plays Michigan for the first time since 1993. The first time since Chris Webber called this timeout.
Our theme song here on One Shining Podcast is
Teed Up,
derived
Woody
from
Durham. Yeah, exactly. Like this is a big moment, and I didn't think people really took into account that it's the first time they've played each other since then. Uh-huh. And then it was just the worst game, and Carolina blew them off, and Beeline seemed fine to lose. It's like a classy win where it's like the coach is like, God, you guys just played really good tonight. We were happy to be in Chapel Hill. So we don't need to talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I actually didn't watch it, so it doesn't count to me. Carolina, to me, is still – I've seen one Carolina game this year. They lost to Michigan State.
Don't watch anymore.
They're terrible.
That's my new rule.
They're unranked.
Mark Titus,
That's
do not
true.
watch us.
I'm going to get tweets from people. I've watched more than one game. I'm doing shtick with Tate. I actually didn't watch the Michigan game because I was watching the
Columbus Crew. Yeah, soccer fan.
They lost in the most heartbreaking fashion. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it, but our boys played hard. So let's talk about Duke, Indiana. The Assembly Hall atmosphere is my goal. I have 3 goals on this podcast. One, I want to parlay this into a coaching gig with you. Mm-hmm. I want to be the head coach. It didn't work out at Duquesne, but we're going to figure out the right job. One of these jobs, what was Tim Floyd just stepped down at UTEP. Maybe we could get that one. Then didn't somebody else just resign too?
Yeah, but I don't want to be officially on staff. I just kind of want to be like in the background looming. Like I want to be your World Wide West to your Leon Rose.
Yeah. By the way, does anybody know what World Wide West actually does?
No. And that's what I want to do. I just need a nickname at the front of Tate.
That's like the great. I want that job so badly. I just I want someone to put a camera on World Wide West when he's like introducing himself to someone who doesn't know them, and then they're like go to some cocktail party or something. And you're like, hey, so what do you do for a living? And then just hear what World Wide West's answer is, because I have no idea what that guy does.
I think he would just say influence things.
Yeah,
in those 2 words.
I'm a hashtag influencer.
Yeah, God, those are the words. Anyone that told you they're an influencer,
so
kick them in the.
My
bleep that go.
Objective 1 is Objective 1, I want to get a coaching gig where I'm a head coach. You're my bag man. We have to figure out who our assistants will be. Producer Kyle might be on staff. Number 2, we gotta get sponsored.
Yes,
we need someone to drop the bag for us. This is gonna happen.
You
eventually.
literally have people calling you right now trying to sponsor us.
My phone's blowing up. Yeah, we just want to find the right ones. Bad Boy Mowers, that would be a good one. They sponsor Battle over Atlantis.
We will ride in mowers to the studio if we have to.
We can be bought. We need the right.
We'll
bag
Happy
drop.
Gilmore it.
Number 3, I got to get you to a game at Assembly Hall because that atmosphere is, and it's only for big games. Because if you notice, Indiana lost to Indiana State at home by like 30 to start the season.
Yeah,
and you're thinking, how can the Assembly Hall atmosphere be that great if you lost to Indiana State? There's the stars have to align. It has to be a highly ranked team. Mm-hmm. Indiana has to be like not. There has to be like some sort of buzz around Indiana, like in Archie Miller being a new coach creates that buzz. So like if Crean was still coaching this team,
they would have gotten waxed.
I'm not sure anyone would really care, but like there's enough buzz to where the people care. It has to be a primetime game so the kids can all get drunk throughout the day in anticipation of it. And if then you throw in like a Duke or like a brand name on top of all that, I mean, then you have it. But that atmosphere,
a blue blood.
Unbelievable. I swear to you, it's worth at least 10 to 15 points for Indiana. And people would say, well, does that mean Indiana would have lost by 20 or 25 on a neutral court? Yes.
That's
exactly what that means.
Yes.
That's exactly what that means. Duke would have beat the shit out of Indiana on a neutral court. And I don't know. Did you watch the game?
I want to talk about just basically Indiana. Robert Johnson. I haven't watched Indiana. I know that Danny Green's brother plays on the team, and I didn't even know that he wore the number that he wore, and I was making fun of someone wearing that prestigious number at Indiana and looking like a scrub. And then it turns out the one player that I really cared about, Dante.
He was number 11, worn by 11. Isaiah Thomas, Yogi Ferrell, Dan
Basically,
Dockich.
I had this rule that, like, if you go to North Carolina, you don't wear 23. If you go to Indiana, you shouldn't wear 11. But obviously, Yogi Ferrell and all these guys have, so it doesn't matter.
No, we don't. They don't retire numbers at Indiana.
I know, but I just think
It's
that's ridiculous.
because you play for the name on the front of your chest, not the back. We're not Carolina where you have like every goddamn guy who got drafted in the NBA gets a jersey up in the rafters.
We just got too many Hall of Famers to name. It's a predicament. But Duke, I just want to talk about Duke. The way
You want to talk about Duke?
Yeah,
this is interesting development on this podcast.
I want to talk about it. Robert Johnson. You deserve the credit, but we're tied at 75. Indiana makes this great run. You text me and you're like, Hoosier daddy, or whatever you said. Hoosier, whatever they say there, and I'm like, all right. I have not been watching this game up to this point because I don't want to fall into this propaganda trap. And I'm like, whatever, I'll turn this thing on. So we're tied at 75, 5:09 remaining. I think that I make Grayson Allen better. I turn this game on, and they just flip the switch. Trent just starts hitting shots. They go on like a 16-6 run.
Yeah.
They end up blowing the game out, winning the game. Grayson Allen hits these like fadeaway jumpers to win the game. And he's the closer. He's Kira Sedgwick. And I know no one wants to say it, but I'm here to say it. That's who he is. He's Kevin Bacon's wife. He's not afraid of the moment. He makes shots in prime time. Good for him.
Are you great? Is it working? Is the Grayson Allen thing working on you?
No, I'm trying to make fun of him for being the closer.
He said you're trying to make fun of him for being clutch as hell and winning games.
This is the only way I can make fun of him.
Wow, dude, that's
really tough.
That's a great insult.
It's tough. I'm not feeling good.
My phone is blowing
Bad
up.
Boy Mowers will not stop blowing us up.
So he after the game said a lot of nice things about Assembly Hall and the atmosphere.
Oh my god! Of course he would.
And
let's be honest.
He's trying to do the.
If they do a Blue Chips too, so people that haven't seen Blue Chips, they filled like an Indiana team, and it's Bob Knight playing the fake team that's run by Nick Nolte, and Bobby Hurley is the point guard for Indiana,
Was
which
he
is
wearing
like
11?
of course.
11
and he's the most perfect Indiana point guard ever because he cares about fundamentals. He's a white guy. You know, everything works out. Grayson Allen, if they did Blue Chips too, would be the Bobby Hurley equivalent. He'd be the shooting guard, and Bobby Knight would. I would love if they still cast Bobby Knight as the coach of Indiana, like nothing had changed. But yeah, he'd be that guy.
So Duke, you bring up a good point about Duke coming from behind. This is the fourth game in a row that Duke has trailed in the second half. I don't think they got down.
They trail in every game.
Did they trail double digits? I don't think they trailed by double digits to IU in the set, but the IU got like a decent sized lead on them. It was like 5 or 6 points.
Yeah, I think it was 7.
And they come back, and so now the talk about Duke is. Which team are they? Are the
first
team,
half team or are they a second half team?
Are they where's the real Duke? Are they the first team that shows up the first 32 minutes?
They are the team that wins when the ref makes the adjustments, which is the second half team.
So there definitely is the theory that Duke gets favorable calls, and Mike Krzyzewski works the refs.
Work is the kindest word for threaten that's ever been out there.
I don't know if this has ever personally affected you, Tate, as a North Carolina fan, but
you know, in semi-pro, I was looking at this earlier when he's like, he says, "Suck my." Is what he says to the ref, and then he's like, "What'd I say to you? What'd I say to you?" That's like K. Like he says these terrible things. And he's like, "What do you mean?"
So the theory, like you might assume that that's what's going on with Duke if you're just one of those Duke haters, and you'd say they're getting favorable calls. But this team is designed to like you have the best front court in the country. You have no way of stopping Marvin Bagley. If you do stop Bagley, you're not stopping Carter, and they're fouling out everybody. Like that makes sense, doesn't it? That the whole reason Indiana was close in the first place is because they were hacking the shit out of Marvin Bagley and Carter, and that eventually is going to catch up to you. You're going to have double bonus with 12 minutes to play. All your guys are going to foul out, and you're going to have a 6'5" guy guarding Bagley, and then Duke's going to pull away. So like to me, that's what the theme of all of this is that teams have no idea how to stop them, so they're throwing junk against the wall. And if the game lasted 30 minutes, they'd be good, but the game lasts 40 minutes and you can't sustain that, and Duke knows that, and they just stay patient, and then they pull it out in the end.
I know how to beat Bagley. Every team
poke him in the eye?
No, yes. Every single team in the country has doubled Happ this year, and he looks like he's just lost for words when he doesn't know what to do with himself.
Ethan Happ, Wisconsin, yeah.
Yes, Ethan Happ, Wisconsin. A guy that could have been National Player of the Year, we thought, but is not at all right now. Everyone needs to do that to Bagley. Double him.
But you can't.
Yes, you can. Yes, you
Carter's
can.
going to dunk on your face. Then
Good luck.
You got Grayson Allen. You got Gary Trent Jr. You got Duval.
Prove it that you can do it to me in the second half with 12 minutes left, not with 6 minutes left.
God.
That's what I want to see from this Duke team. And we should say Marcus Bolden, we fouled out. Carter fouled out in this game. Bolden comes in, and like I'm ready to laugh at Bolden because it's entertaining that he's in the crunch time lineup. He set some great screens, did some good things for the first time ever. I've never seen him do anything that was like productive at the end of a game. So I have to give him credit.
You want to laugh at Bolden, but if I told you right now that Marcus Bolden could, without penalty, go play at North Carolina, if you just snap your finger, you're taking that deal.
Yeah, it's a good deal. I'll take him. We need bodies. We'll take him. He should have left. That's my whole point. I'm on his side. It's like Jabinajay. When Jabinajay was there, I was like, get out of there, Mike. Come on, find your new home.
You do the move where you say the guy sucks so badly, and then you're like, I'm actually on your side.
Yeah, I'm your friend. I'm your fan.
So what's your answer to this dilemma about Duke? Are they the first team? Are they are they the first half team that we're seeing that's struggling and getting down and to these teams that they should be blowing out? Or are they the team that's closing? To you, in all seriousness, do you fear Duke? Do you think that do you feel like
Duke is a half blown up balloon right now? Like people keep blowing them and gassing the ego, and it slowly gets bigger and bigger and bigger until they play Miami, and then it's going to pop.
They're definitely going to lose to Miami.
Once they play a team that's going to be able to match them and have the size and be able to actually take on what they have, that's when it will happen. But who do they play? Like South Dakota State, and then they play the high school up the road here for the next few weeks. I mean, we won't. They're going to blow people out for the next month.
They definitely played a very easy schedule by going to the PK80 and then going.
No, I'm saying
to the most
in
raucous,
December. And let's be honest, none of those teams they played in the PK80 were that good. Just kidding, Florida.
They're going to lose. I think they're going to lose to Miami too. I actually said that in the power rankings I wrote like 2 weeks ago. The Duke's going to be undefeated.
They always do. It's Florida State or Miami. You just pick whatever team.
They always lose in one of those. But that's not going to. I don't think it's going to do them in. To me, I feel like we're very close to a Duke versus the field situation. I really feel that way. I'm not even saying that to rile you up. I don't understand how you stop Bagley. Like
double him.
He is. You can't double him.
Yes, you can.
You can't.
Yes, you can, Josh Pastner. Yes, you can.
You have Grace. He has too much talent around them, and I don't know. I mean, they're going to lose games. They're going to have they don't play good enough defense. That's very much a problem. They still have guys that chuck bad shots. That's very much a problem. And at some point that's going to catch up to them. But
I still think if they had played Portland State, if they had played them again, I think Portland State would win. If they played them at Portland State, their actual arena, Portland State would have won.
So let's move on. We brought up Miami as going to we think they're going to eventually hand Duke their first loss in February, in January.
It won't be their first loss. Duke's going to lose.
Duke's not going to lose before that. That's going to be Duke's first loss. And Miami's going to do the thing where they all slap the floor. Remember that game where
of course.
Shane Larkin was slapping the floor, all five of them?
2013,
yeah. They're going to do that. They're going to Miami beats Minnesota. Miami is, I'm going to say it, I'm not even going to tease it anymore and try to hedge my feelings. Miami is my pick. I'm locking them in to win the ACC regular season title. I think I don't think they're the best team. I think Duke is the best team, but I think Duke's going to do Duke things, as we say. And,
they can't win the regular season.
They don't win the regular season. They haven't won the regular season since 2010.
Which is unbelievable that they won it that year.
It is pretty crazy, yeah. So I think Miami's going to win, and this game at Minnesota is kind of proof why. That was this was like the game where the Minnesota fans were telling Richard Pitino, what are you talking about? We did not want you fired 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you remember that. They were gaslighting the hell out of him by showing up and saying we've always supported you, Richard Pitino. This was a huge game for Minnesota. This was their announcement that they are a legitimate team. And Miami kicked their ass from start to finish. I mean, Minnesota had 2 decent runs to they took the lead once.
But they were just cutting the game back. Basically Miami would go on these big runs to get a big lead. Then Minnesota would chop it back down, slow the game down. But if you watch Miami play, I mean, they run a pick and roll based NBA level offense with Brown, Newton. I mean, Huell, we were talking about.
Huell
is a 5-star guy that's just dunking over top of people.
Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Where did he come from?
Someone dropped the bag for Huell.
Who is his daddy and what does he do? Oh my God, that dude! I had no if you know anything about me, you know that I famously do not follow recruiting. I'm willfully ignorant about recruiting. This guy's apparently McDonald's All-American 5-star. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. I know maybe 3 recruits every year, so he was not one of them. He goes to Miami as a freshman. He averaged 5 points a game. Didn't really play a ton last year. Mm-hmm. So this year, to me, he was just this unknown role player guy. That dude is unbelievable. He's so perfect for this team. That's the other thing. Is he's not just very good. He's perfect at a 4-round 1 big guy that can. Pick and roll, and
it wasn't
he
was playing a bunch of scrubs at Minnesota. Jordan Murphy is probably what you were telling me earlier. He's probably the Big Ten Player of the Year.
He's definitely Big Ten Player of the Year right now. Yeah,
and Huell wrecked him. I mean,
and they got Lynch. Minnesota, has a great front court, and Huell just destroyed them.
Go look up those dunks. I mean, they're ferocious.
By the way, Jordan Murphy, you're big on the double-double thing.
Yeah,
he's got a double-double every game this year.
Yeah, exactly. He's going for the record. David Robinson's record. 31 games.
Jordan Murphy's basically Caleb Swanigan of the Big Ten this year.
But
he's not as good. I love Caleb Swanigan. He's not as good, but
it's not that he's not as good. He's not as lovable. You know, like when Swanigan was doing it, it was like this whole story of like fat kid gets skinny, and now he's like making the run. I don't have that with Jordan Murphy, but like if someone can show me a picture of Jordan Murphy eating like donuts when he was in 11th grade,
all I know about
fat,
him
I'd
is
be into it.
Yeah, all I know about him is he signed at VCU.
Yeah,
left after Shaka went to Texas.
So someone was doing this.
He like didn't have long hair at first, and now he's growing his hair out, and that's where he's like getting his power. That's
this is a random aside, but there's a nice little sidebar conversation to be had. When Shaka left VCU, he loses Kenny Williams, he loses Jordan Murphy. Like if he had just stayed at VCU with the recruits he had, it was his best
team
class
would be
coming
better
in.
Than,
he would be better than the Texas team and had a chance to actually win a title.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So Miami, I still think Minnesota. Minnesota is the only team. I guess we like Purdue, all right. But Minnesota, to me, I think Minnesota's
Purdue
better
has
than
a ceiling. I think Minnesota is a team that like I would not want to play in March.
Yeah,
right?
Minnesota can be very, very good. I think for me, Minnesota is the team that could beat Michigan State in the Big Ten, but Michigan State's going to win by like 5 games. Michigan State, honestly, I would set the over-under at 1.5 Big Ten losses.
We haven't done enough. Like I know personally, I haven't given enough credit to Michigan State. They're, in my opinion, the second best team, and that's not because I don't think Villanova is better than them or would beat them. It's that they've earned it. Like you beat North Carolina, you beat Notre Dame. Those are 2 top 10 teams. It's like you're the second best team in the country.
Well, let's talk about Michigan State and beating Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That game happened last night, Thursday night. Just Michigan State's size was overwhelming for Notre Dame.
It's ridiculous.
Nick
Nick Ward does not get enough credit.
We've reached a point where like Miles Bridges, there are very, very long stretches of Michigan State games where it feels like he's like their 4th, maybe 5th best player, which is not a slight on him at all. It's just more like he's playing out of position.
Exactly. We've said this plenty of times.
It's not his fault.
Yeah.
He's just trying. He, by the way, he's playing still very well. He's still clearly their best player.
He had that huge dunk early in the game.
He dunked on his own teammate.
Yeah, Nick Ward.
But the supporting cast is unbelievable. They're all stepping up. And
Langford, Winston. I mean, they're both way better. I mean, I made so much fun of Langford, and I feel like this year it's like to come back at me for all because of I talked about his hairline and everything just as a joke.
He had a bum hamstring last year. It was that's the move.
He's living up to the recruiting.
He had the same thing that Grayson Allen had, where like you're playing poorly, you're just like I stubbed my toe, I got the turf toe or whatever Grayson was dealing with. I'm refreshed this year, I'm ready to go. That's what Langford had going on, and I was rolling my eyes at it all last year, but now I'm starting to think like actually there might have been something on, and people might have been onto something there. So, yeah, you think Michigan State's the second best team?
Yeah.
In the country?
Because they've earned it. And I don't think rankings matter, but they've earned to be number 2. Just by the resume. You talk about like
that's not the question. Who's the second best team in the country right now behind Duke?
Well, me personally, I think Villanova is the best team in the country, and I think that Duke is the second best team in the country.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Hold on.
I would love to see Villanova play Duke tonight. In Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia.
Hold on, talk
Duke
me into
goes
this.
up there. I think Villanova would beat them by 12 to 15 points if they played tonight. Yes.
In Philadelphia?
Yes. A real road game.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely. And it's strictly because of like I look at the matchups of like Brunson, Duvall, give me like everyone that would match up. The only person would be Bagley, but Jay Wright's a good enough coach to figure out how to handle Bagley. Yeah. And guess what it is? Double the dude.
Just double. That's all you got to do. Just double him. Just put 7 guys on there.
It's
double him,
hard.
double Carter, double.
No. Double him and make him see if he can pass it out of the double team. Like I have not seen him do that yet.
Yeah.
Prove it to me.
Yeah. That's all you got to do. Just double him.
Come on, Jay.
This is gonna be your thing all year. I want to see you on Twitter with like when Bagley goes for like 46 and 26 against some team in the ACC against Boston College. I want you to retweet it and just be like, should have doubled him.
No, didn't watch, but guess they should have doubled him.
Should have doubled him. So you're going with the theory, the whole like if they played today angle.
No, I'm just saying right now I think that Duke is like everything has worked out in their favor, and no one's talked about those first halves. No one's talked about how bad they've looked in some of these games. They've only talked about the final run, which has been amazing, which is what I talked about Grayson. I gave him a backhanded compliment.
Well, it all goes into one picture. I mean, you don't have to talk about one or the other. We talk about it all, and the end result is that they're beating all of these teams. They have 5 NBA players in their starting lineup, probably.
Yeah, that's a stretch. That's a stretch.
It might be, but to me, Duke, Marvin Bagley is like an offensive Anthony Davis. That's kind of the vibe I get watching him in college. Yeah. Like the impact he has, like just.
I like to call him Julius Randle light. Just kidding. That's a
He's
joke.
just like how much better. Like he just looks completely out of place on a college basketball court. It's just man
He
amongst
shouldn't be
boys.
playing college
He should not be
basketball.
playing college
Yeah.
basketball. I get Anthony Davis vibes watching him. That's not to say I don't mean to compare the two. Like he reminds me of Anthony Davis. It's just that aspect of it. And so if we're gonna use that comparison and we look at Anthony Davis's supporting cast of, I don't even remember.
Kid
Kid Gilchrist, Terrence Jones, Marcus Teague, Deron Lamb.
Yeah.
That was the starting five.
And Deron Lamb was probably his best asset on that team.
They go 38-2 and win the national title.
Yeah.
One of their losses was at Indiana on a last-second shot on a miracle, and then the other one I think was Vanderbilt that year. Kevin Stallings. Of course they never.
Of course,
had,
one
they
of the
never
best
had a
coaches
shot.
in college basketball.
They never had a shot against Stallings. And then they like breezed through the NCAA tournament to a title. If that's like the template, and now we have Bagley kind of doing the same thing that Davis did, except on, I don't know. I'm just like thinking about all that. Like, I don't understand how anybody's ever going to stop Duke this year. Like, once they start figuring out their defensive problems, and they're just going to go zone all year. That's what they're going to do.
And this is what Duke does. When North Carolina does good things, Duke follows up so they can just steal the narrative. So this is the year that they would win the title.
So
Still, Villanova's better.
there are three teams that have a play at, or a claim at being the second best team: Villanova, Kansas, and Michigan State. A lot of people think Michigan State has earned it.
I'm one of those people.
I just can't shake Michigan State losing to Duke when Duke didn't even have Bagley. I see the hot take. Our friend of the program, Rob Dolster, was saying that if Michigan State and Duke played today on a neutral court, he thinks Michigan State would win. And I don't think it's like that insane of a take, but it's kind of insane. That's kind of an insane thought because they didn't even have Bagley, and I can't shake that. I don't know.
But when they didn't have Bagley, it opened the game up so much more for Grayson. Like, Grayson got to be full-on Grayson Allen in that game, and I still think it was a conspiracy. I think Bagley could have come back in that game.
So if Grayson wasn't killing Michigan State in that game, and Bagley, because Bagley was in, wouldn't Bagley have just been killing Michigan State? I mean, what?
Or they would have been fighting
or they
over
doubled
who.
him.
Yeah,
No, they would have doubled
They
him.
probably would have doubled
They would
him.
have doubled
They
him.
would have doubled him.
They
Nick
would have
Ward,
saw that.
Jaren Jackson.
I think Villanova is the second best team. Kansas. Let's talk about Kansas. How do you? I had my power rankings today. I had Kansas power ranked 6th. Because
Pretty fair.
the only team that they've beaten is Kentucky, and I don't think Kentucky's that good yet. I think Kentucky could potentially be good if like a lot of things go right, but I don't think Kentucky's going to be super relevant this year at all. And Kansas looked very bad for long stretches of that Kentucky game. And my rationale for I got a lot of flack from Kansas fans saying, how can you say Kansas is 6th, but you have Villanova at 2 when Villanova has played nobody also? Villanova has not shown me anything bad, really.
Mm-hmm.
Villanova, I coming into the year, I thought Villanova and Kansas were very good teams. Villanova has done nothing to disprove that. Kansas against Kentucky worried me a lot, and that I can't shake that. They ran up against length and athleticism for the first time all season, and it just ate them up. And they were lucky to win. The only reason they won is because Kentucky has no idea what the hell they're doing because these kids. Because Cal can't reach these kids. That's what.
Not yet. He may reach those kids later. I will say this. Kansas plays at Syracuse tomorrow.
No, they play in Miami.
Oh, they play. It's in Miami. Yeah. They play in Miami.
But they do play Syracuse, yeah.
Yes, they do play Syracuse. That's length athleticism, of course. It's also a zone. I want to see Kansas be able to beat a zone when they have to hit shots.
Yeah.
Basically. When Mikhailuk is obviously the guy that has to do that. Graham has been a little off, and as much as it hurts my heart, the apostrophe himself, that's his nickname, people. He has not quite been there, especially from a scoring aspect, so they haven't been able to replace the scoring from last year. LeGerald Vick is sort of hit or miss. I don't know. I like their team, but they sort of feel like
they're blowing everybody out that they're playing.
Yeah, but it's like Texas Southern, Oakland.
But the teams are playing are very bad. And the other thing is Kansas is built to blow out very bad teams. I mean, when you're playing a much inferior team and you run up and down and shoot a ton of threes, you should be blowing teams out. I mean, I don't know. So I that's all. I don't have anything. I don't think Kansas is bad yet. I just think like they've really only given me one data point, and I was very unimpressed with that data point. So until I get more, I'm. By the way, what's up with Billy Preston? Do we have any idea?
No.
I just thought about that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Billy Preston is like basically MIA at this point. If Michael Porter Jr. is obviously the big story, but Billy Preston is if you're in Lawrence, Kansas, like you are concerned about what's going on there. That's a very strange situation.
What the hell? What is happening? It just came to me. Like, I don't know why. I was thinking about who they have on the roster. I was like, they don't have very many big guys. That's right. It's because they don't have Billy Preston.
Well, So we talked about the scholarship limitations. They only have like 7 or 8 guys that can actually play that are on scholarship. So Bill Self, this is the last thing I've heard about it. He went to the football team. He was recruiting people on the football team, a la Julius Pepper style, to come play on the basketball team to give them more bodies.
Interesting.
So that makes you, I mean, that says enough about where we stand with No Limit Bill right now.
And they still couldn't get him? Like, 'cause if you're a Kansas football player and you get an opportunity to be on the basketball team, aren't you just like, absolutely?
Yeah, because you're like, I'm
Jump
so
off that
tired of
sinking ship.
losing. My God, I'll have some friends here on this campus.
Finally, people will recognize me on the campus. Yeah, so I don't know. Kansas will be fine, I guess. Eventually, maybe they won't. They to me they might be the Arizona situation that you were talking about last pod, where they're walking that tightrope. Like if they're not good enough, maybe the FBI sweeps in. This Billy Preston thing's got me shook, man. I didn't even think about it until right this second.
I think it was a decision from what I'm seeing right here. Bill Self decided to hold him out during the investigation. So it's not like he is actually suspended by any sort of organization, but they're just holding him out.
But like the whole, why are you holding him out? Like, you know.
That means that you know something is there.
That you know something's bad, yeah. Bill Self, bad guy of the week.
Possibly. Find out Monday.
But yeah, Michigan State, to me, it's pretty clearly Duke number 1. I think Villanova's the second best team. I think Michigan State, just what I can't shake the Duke game, but you know, if you want to put Michigan State at 2, that's fine. If you feel
Villanova, Michigan State, Duke.
That's yours?
That's my top 3.
Oh my God. Duke just keeps sliding.
I realized that I made this whole argument about Michigan State being number 2 and they'd earned it, so I'm going to give it to them.
So the other thing I want to talk about to you, the Big Ten. I don't know if you're aware of this. They're kind of irrelevant, but this is interesting. The Big Ten is starting conference play this week.
Yeah, this Sunday.
Because they're doing the Jim Delaney is, as you named it, Manifest Delaney, is trying to take over the country. He's trying to take over the world.
Yes.
He wants, the end goal for Jim Delaney is for every Division I team to be in the Big Ten. He's gonna absorb every team, and then he's going to divide them up in the divisions, and we're going to have like the Big Ten ACC is what it's going to be.
This is
called.
like the Trapper Keeper on South Park when he just starts sliding through and just like slowly just consuming more things. Like that's Jim Delaney.
This is Jim Delaney, and that's what we're going to eventually, like the ACC is just going to still be the ACC. It's just going to be under the Big Ten umbrella. So it'll be like the ACC division of the Big Ten is like what it's going to be.
It's sort of like, you know, One Shining Podcast, part of the Ringer Podcast Network. You know, it's North Carolina. Part of the ACC that's also part of the Big Ten.
He wants to. He had to play in New York because everyone knows New York is Big Ten country. We're playing the conference tournament in Madison Square Garden. Problem was the Big East has the least, or has the whatever the business terms are. I don't
know. We'll circle back on it.
We'll circle back. The Big East had the week of the conference, like the usual conference championship leading into Selection Sunday. So instead of Jim Delaney saying, "Oh, well, I guess this was a bad idea in the first place. Let's just move it back to Indiana where it belongs, in Indianapolis, where there's open containers and everyone can walk around downtown and get drunk, and it's awesome and everybody loves it. Let's just push it back a week and have it at Madison Square Garden." So because of that, it cuts into the Big Ten regular season schedule, which means you have to like take games from the end of the Big Ten regular season, kind of like wedge them into the non-conference schedule.
And it also is going to hurt them on Selection Sunday because it's going to be a week behind, so no one's going to remember any of those games.
And the point I want to make, Tate, is that the Big Ten is going to get maybe 2 teams into the
they're going to get killed by that. That's so dumb.
This is a very bad idea. And it would be a very bad idea in any year, but like this year, given what we've seen out of the Big Ten so far, this seems very, very bad. This is going to be disastrous. And not to mention, like, are people really, I don't know. I guess like it might be a thing once the Big Ten, like, it'll be cool to see games in Madison Square Garden, but is that, I don't think it's going to like be that big of a deal.
It's going to weird me out when I'm watching Greg Gard in Madison Square Garden try to figure out and draw plays. You know what's going
to make me think of? It's going to just, all it's going to do is make me want the old Big East back. It's not the same. The Big Ten thinks it's the old Big East. It's not. The old Big East.
People forget about how great the old Big East was.
Oh my God.
We just can't even get into it right now. I'm locked in.
They hated each other so much.
Yeah. Never shook hands.
Speaking of hate,
no high fives.
Cincinnati Xavier is tomorrow.
Yes. Crosstown shootout.
Tell me everything you know about the Crosstown shootout.
There was a great fight once upon a time that I watched. I think that was in 2012. Somewhere around there. I don't care. But there was a great fight that I watched. And one of my favorite lines that's ever been said after a nice little fight. Zip them up. It's a great thing.
Mark Lyons.
Yeah, and then I love that Chris Mack and Mick Cronin are like mini me and like big me. You know what I mean? It's like short and tall. I like how they look alike. It entertains me.
Is that about
what
it?
else? Bearcats. I mean, I just think that's embarrassing. It reminds me of Bobcats. Like we can do better than that.
Bearcats is a bad nickname. I'm sorry to say, Cincinnati fan. Bearcats is bad.
I've always viewed Xavier as like a Sweet 16, Elite 8 team.
Let me ask you this: what side are you on?
I've always been on Cincinnati. Yeah,
interesting.
Public school.
Because you feel like it's a Duke Carolina situation.
I'm always on the side of public school. I went to public school. I never went to private school's the worst.
So I'm gonna sell the Cincinnati Xavier rivalry to those like that are listening and feel like they have no reason to care. First of all, you don't have a reason to care.
Nice.
That's part of what makes the rivalry awesome. Is that Cincinnati Xavier, they don't care that you don't care. To them,
it's a great game. I feel like I watch it every year somehow.
Every year, we were joking in our preview pods that every year they play, like one team is ranked 21st and one team is ranked like 16th.
Yes, they're always
almost exactly what we got this year.
Yep.
Xavier's ranked 21st.
Yep.
Cincinnati's ranked 11th.
Big year for Mick Cronin.
So it's called the Crosstown Shootout. I've only been to one in my life, one Crosstown Shootout. I went, and I think it was 2 years ago, I want to say, 2015.
I can't believe they haven't changed that name.
They changed it for 1 year because it was like, but this is the point, was like this rivalry is so heated that they thought having the term shootout would make people kill each other.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And they like, people really got together and thought this was a real concern. Like, we might actually have people be killed over this. And I thought it was the funniest thing. And then I went to the game and I said, it's
legitimate, guys.
It's legitimate. So the crosstown part couldn't be more wrong. It is not crosstown. They are like right next to each other. They're like 2 miles away. So your whole like Duke Carolina 6 mile thing, like people walk from one campus to another to go to the game. It's crazy. They're like right next to each other. The hatred is unlike anything I've ever seen, and I've been to a lot of rivalry games in college basketball. This isn't like a we hate you, but
like a little side, like, oh, we hate you.
Yeah,
those are the worst.
You know, like the commercials. I remember when ESPN would do like a rivalry thing. Maybe they did it with football, or they had like a commercial where like
the mascots are all.
Well, the one scene I remember was the like Ohio State Michigan. Man and woman are like in the car, and like someone gets thrown out the car.
It's like House Divided, yeah,
House Divided type stuff. And you got the Duke, and it's always like this fun, lovable. Like I cheer for the other team. You notice in that commercial there was no Cincinnati Xavier thing because like if you get them in the same room, they just want to beat the shit out of each other.
A capital crime had occurred. It's like
that's
we gotta
why
cut that.
like the fight that happened when they actually fought each other. It was like people in Cincinnati were like, oh man, this is bad. This is a bad look for our rivalry. But behind closed doors, they're like, yes, we love it. They love that the fight. They absolutely love that was the first thing you thought of because they hate each other so much. And anyway, watch the game because first of all, they two very good teams. Like I think Cincinnati, this is the best team they've had in a very long time. Xavier got blown out by Arizona State. I didn't actually watch that game, so I don't know what happened, but I still think Xavier has a pretty good team. So it's going to be a great game. But honest to God, I've never seen a rivalry as heated as this. And that's not to say it's the best rivalry because you're going to say there's nothing at stake. Like nationally, people don't care. They're not fighting for a 1 seed. They're not fighting for a conference title. All of that is fine and well. If you go to one of these games, just be a neutral fan. And if you're going to try to like fit in, you're like, oh, I want to go to the Xavier UC game and it's at UC, so I'm going to wear a Cincinnati shirt. Keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah.
Keep your head on a swivel.
You're not
might
necessarily
die.
safe.
Yeah. So I saw like the game I went to. I swear to God, I'm not using hyperbole. I saw a man with gray hair put his hands on like a 12-year-old boy to like basically fight him. Like the kid started clapping when he shouldn't have been. When in this guy's mind he shouldn't have been clapping. He thought he was like rubbing it in, and he goes and like grabs him by the arm, and then like the guy's dad like went and like pushed him, and like a thing broke out.
Oh, those are the best.
Are you kidding me? And
because it's always like the smart ass like 12-year-old. That's the one that's like the most arrogant about it. He's like looking back at you. You're like,
I'm not gonna name like which side was which because I know that the other side is gonna use it as fuel and say like, oh,
well, let me tell you about what my Tim got.
Those other people have rapists cheering for him. It's like, like I don't want that. I'm not trying to stoke those flames. But and then the other thing that stood out was there was like a small pocket of Xavier fans like stuck all the way up in the corner. There's the Xavier student section. There's like 30 of them standing up because Xavier's a private school with like 106 people go there.
Yeah, exactly.
And half of them are on the basketball team. So they're all tucked up in the corner. And the halftime entertainment was the Cincinnati dance team because the game was at Cincinnati at UC. So the Cincinnati dance team comes out, and you just hear like this faint but like super passionate boo,
boo this man.
And I'm looking up like, you're booing the dance team, and these people would, they hate the dance team more than I don't know. Just watch this rivalry, please. Watch. I just want people to watch.
I like
this
it when you
because
boo the band and the dance team, and like the acts of like actual students that are there. That's always good.
It is unbelievable. So that is going on. The problem is, it's on noon. It's being played at noon, and that is very much
That's how
a problem.
I always feel it. I feel like it's always an early afternoon game where like I am eating lunch or like coming back from doing something on a Saturday, and I can just like, this is on. Oh.
They need a tradition at Cincinnati. Like they need a day to say like, this is the game. This is like the rival. On this day we play the game. I don't know because they have done it on weeknights, but like I don't.
Yeah, you told me they moved around. I just said this time of the year, who cares?
No one cares because no one like ESPN has never put it on ESPN. It's always on ESPN2. It's on Fox Sports 1 this year. Like because no one nationally cares.
But I just feel like right now is why no one cares too. Like even when Louisville plays Kentucky, it's like. I don't really care. Like, I mean, I guess like
true too.
it's like sometimes. I mean, I guess I do. And sorry, Kentucky fans, I'm sure that really hurt for me to say that. But like, it doesn't mean as much at this time of the year because I don't feel like they're full rosters and they're ready to go.
You're still figuring out the teams.
I wish they'd play the PK80 in February.
What if Cincinnati Xavier was the first game of the year every year, and that was like the kickoff?
Yeah,
it was like Friday
that's
night.
What I'm saying. Something like that, a gimmick.
Yeah, and that's their gimmick. Is that Friday night is the first game?
Yeah.
That would be
watch
awesome.
That. I'd be pumped.
It's like a chicken and egg thing though, because no one outside of Cincinnati cares because it's never on ESPN in like a perfect slot, but it's never on the perfect slot because no one cares, and then it just kind of spirals out of control. But anyway, that's gonna be an awesome game. Wichita State goes to Baylor tomorrow at 2 p.m. That's on ESPNU, which getting the Wichita State. That's how do you feel about that? You're gonna watch that game?
I'm gonna watch it.
Oh, interesting. I thought you were done with Wichita State.
Well, I'm watching Baylor. Baylor's playing tomorrow.
Your boys, Scott.
Yeah.
I made a very bad Scott Drew, a misguided tweet about Scott Drew.
What do you mean?
I pulled out the Scott Drewton third law, which is for every great win there must be an equal and opposite loss.
Tough loss. It's always a tough loss
because they came off of because Baylor lost to Xavier, and they came off of the whatever Hall of Fame thing they won. I think they won in Kansas City.
It was Kansas City, yeah.
So they come off that, another early season tournament championship for Scott Drew, and then they immediately turn around and lose at Baylor. And I just thought I was trying to meme. I was trying to get my memes on, and
for the socials.
But by the way, I think it works the opposite way too. Like I expect Baylor to win this game because they lost to Xavier. Now they're like down, and now we're like, oh man, maybe Scott Drew's not that good. And then he turns around and wins. That's the whole point. That's what the Baylor fans don't understand. The whole meme of like, is Scott Drew a good coach? It goes both ways. Like
it's also the greatest distraction in all of sports because like the whole time that you're worried about this, like you don't even know what's going on with your program and Scott Drew because you're like, I'm confused. Like, what is this guy? And I should say this: Scott Drew is the king of preseason tournaments.
He's absolutely is.
He literally if they played March and November,
that's what's so damn funny about all of this is that he. He's the king of the preseason tournaments. Not so much the postseason, but he has made a couple Elite Eights, but he's never made a Final Four. But he does go, like, he wins a ton of games, and he's turned the program around.
So we should say
But he's never won the Big 12, and it just goes on, and you'll never stop. And it'll be 40 years from now, we'll still be talking about whether Scott Drew's a good coach.
Greatest all-season coach of all time, Scott Drew.
It's the funniest thing in the world. I cannot get enough of it. And I fired off a tweet. I actually wasn't watching the game, and then Baylor fans were like, you asshole, we were down 5 with like 3 minutes left. It wasn't a blowout. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make some jokes on this twitter.com machine. Kansas at Syracuse, like we brought up, they play 5:30 on ESPN on Saturday. This is the game you're excited about. Coppin State at Georgetown on Sunday. Tell the people why.
All right, so Georgetown, Coppin State. Juan Dixon is the coach of Georgetown, for people that don't know. Played at Maryland. Going back to the D.C. area. Going to play Pat Ewing. These are two coaches that are so disinterested in what's going on the court. I mean, it's going to be the greatest competition of all time. And I try to give you a little tidbit. So people don't know this. Juan Dixon's wife is a star, right? She's on Bravo. She's got her own show.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? Yes, that's what happens. The Real Housewives of the Potomac River.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? That exists as well, and it's not an internet series. It's a real series. And Juan Dixon is on the show. He is married to his wife. A lot
of guys are married to their wives.
Yes, usually married to their wives. But he split with his wife in 2012, got a divorce, but he's still on the show. And now they're partners. They're not together. They're
like
just
business partners?
No, they're partners. They live together and everything. So I was watching a clip of the show because I'm doing research. I want to see what's going on with Coppin State. They're 0-6 right now. How can we turn this thing around? But we're behind the times. So we get to just see the interview when he's about to take the Coppin State job. And she's like, Juan's going to have to go somewhere else. Like, this is what you got to do in coaching. You got to go to the bottom and, climb your way up to the top. And he's like, yeah, kind of, I don't want to leave here. Like, I don't want to leave the Potomac because it's so beautiful. And like, I don't want to leave this whole area. She's like, I'm not going with you. Like, wherever you want to go. So she needs to go to Coppin State, help him out. Like, he needs some moral support. Like, he needs something.
I'm so very confused. So they're married or not?
They're partners.
So does that carry any?
No one knows. I don't know. I've tried to research what the difference is, but I guess I don't know. They're partners.
How do they file their taxes? Is what we're
exactly. So whatever. I don't know if he needed an extra bag at Coppin State. Basically, watch the game for Juan Dixon coaching and Pat Ewing coaching. These are two guys that are not coaches that are coaching.
Can we get them mic'd up so when they shake hands, like at the pregame thing where the teams are warming up, and they go over and talk.
Hey, how's it going, buddy? How you doing? What the hell did I get myself into?
Why am I here? This is a terrible idea. What am I doing?
I'm so tired.
This is not the NBA. Boy, this
Milk
is a
was a bad choice.
And then, as we started the show, Pitt Duquesne is happening. Probably, if you're listening to this, it's too late.
Yes, you missed
the
it.
The game's probably over.
We
will cover that on Monday. Anything else you want to hit before we go?
Ashley Judd at Kentucky. She's at the University of Kentucky today doing a seminar, wearing a UK blue shirt.
Ashley Judd is back.
Ashley Judd is back at Kentucky. We want to get her on the podcast. If you know Ashley Judd personally, please reach out to us, One Shining Podcast. We would love to have her on, talk about all the fandom, talk about Chick-fil-A, talk about whatever.
That actually would be awesome.
Do you know that she harassed me as a child at a North Carolina game? Yeah. Think about that, Ashley Judd.
Are you piling on to the Hollywood harassment things that you're trying to do here?
Yes, exactly.
You're going to throw Ashley Judd under
I have
the
to
bus
file my case against Ashley Judd.
What'd you do?
I was talking about Kentucky and not so. I was the asshole 12-year-old, and she like snapped back.
What? That's it? Like,
that was all it was. What am I gonna say?
You had a Carolina Kentucky game.
She was at.
What was the context?
She was in the Dean Dome at a Carolina game, wearing all Kentucky stuff. Like
Kentucky was playing there.
Yes, North Carolina, clapping, having the best time, having a hat on, wearing UK blue, sitting on the floor,
just cheering for another team. Ugh.
But like obnoxiously.
Just like, supporting her team. Oh, can you imagine?
Come on the podcast, Ashley, to defend yourself.
Can you imagine? We are actually gonna have guests. That is,
yes.
We've teased this before. Tate and I are working out a plan for this. We have some names lined up that you could probably guess. People that I know, people that I've tormented in my life as an Ohio State basketball player.
And maybe people you don't know, people that I have not tormented in my life and would love to have them come on my show.
So we're working on that. Thank you so much for listening. It means a lot to us. We've been having a ton of fun with this. Hopefully you guys enjoy listening to us ramble on about college basketball. If you do, go ahead, subscribe, throw those 5-star reviews, tell your friends. Follow Tate Frazier at Tate Frazier on Twitter.
At Club Trillion.
At Club Trillion on Twitter.
And we're on Twitter.
You don't do any other social media. No, we won't even plug it. So check us out. Appreciate you guys. The crew season is still over, Tate, but I don't know. Should I sign off with Save the Crew? Or do I
guess we couldn't save the crew.
We still have a full year.
Go to Austin. Visit Austin.com.
This is a bad idea.
Or visit MyrtleBeach.com.
You wonder why you're Tate the Snake. You wonder why.
That's not my name. That's not my name.
Not yet, anyway. You keep up this crew stuff.